UFC Fight Night, Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres is happening this weekend. And I'm going to tell you guys something. I think I'm fully confident in my ability this time to go 100% on this fight card. I know I've said that before. Other times, and maybe I haven't gotten 100% exactly, and I've gotten close, not exactly 100. We're hitting 100% this time. I guarantee it. And we're breaking the main event curse this weekend. We're getting this main event right. I might spoil my pick here, but we are colding Manuel Torres. All I'm going to say. And this is actually a banger card. They have Rafael Fiziev, Manuel Torres, Shara Magomedov, Michel Pereira, Nazim Sadikov, Mateus Camilo, Asu Amabayev, Charles Johnson, enjoyers, please stand up. We have Ikram Aliskerov, Bruno Ferreira, Abus Magomedov, Michelle Alexejczyk. We have Eric Nolan. Eric Nolan is finally back. We have Abdul Rahman Yakayev. We have Nursultan Ruziboyev, Andre Puliev, Khan Offley. Not the biggest Khan Offley fan after he got a robbery win in his last fight, but we'll skip over that for now. Bekzak Amakan and Gene Matsumoto. Banger card. Pretty sneaky good names on this card. Maybe not the biggest names, but pretty good names, pretty interesting fights that I'm excited to watch. So without further ado, let's hop into this fight card. Of course, the first fight on this card are two guys without profiles on the UFC website. So what we can see from this UFC website right now is that, both 0-0, both actually don't really exist. They're I'm just joking. Tahir Abdul Bayev, not exactly sure how to say his name, but he's on a pretty decent finish streak, all by submission, 4-fight submission win streak. None in the UFC, though. Neither of these guys have wins in the UFC, both making their debut this weekend. There's not much for me to go in here. I've watched some tape on them. I'm not exactly sure who I should be picking here. Yeah, they're near even favorites, but I will be picking Tahir. I'm not going to say his last name because he is from Azerbaijan, where this fight card will be held. So I'm assuming if it's a close fight and he's on a finishing streak, so if it does go to a decision somehow, which I think he has the advantage of winning by finish, but if it does go to a decision, I think they'll give him the edge. So give me Tahir in this one. Not my best breakdown, I'll be honest, but these other ones will pick up. Bekzak Amakan versus Gene Matsumoto. I'm actually really hyped for this one. This one I'm excited for. I'm going to be sitting there with my feet up, eating some popcorn, watching this fight. But Bekzak Amakan, all right. I know I was kind of just glazing him for a second, saying how excited I was for his fight. But let me be honest. The thing he's most famous for in the UFC is losing. He lost to Alejandro Topuria. Again, Topuria is a great fighter, but we saw his debut against Colby Thickenese, Volk's training partner. Colby Thickenese made it a lot closer than Amakan did. And Thickenese isn't the best fighter. I know maybe it was just his last fight wasn't that great, that amazing, but Bekzak is pretty, I don't know. I haven't been that impressed by him in his career. Yeah, he beat Brad Katona, but I'm not impressed by a Brad Katona win. He lost to Umar, but he dropped him in one round. But anyone can drop anyone in this game. He kind of just clipped him on the temple, dropped him, and then got dominated. Like, do you know how badly you have to get dominated to drop someone in a round and then still on every single one of the judges' scorecards lose that round? It's because Umar dominated him. I think he even 10-8'd him in the second and the third round just by taking him down. He was outstriking him on the feet too, out-cardioed him. Umar isn't known for insane cardio, but he was out-cardioing Amakan. I don't know. I just haven't seen enough from Bekzak to know. And I know he won round one against Topuria, but Topuria is kind of like his brother where he'll start off slower, then pick it up as the fight goes. And that's what he did. And Amakan, once he felt Topuria start to tag him, start to flow, he kind of got scared, kind of got timid and ran away from all the shots. While we have Gene Matsumoto, lost his last fight against, what's his name? He's fighting Farid Basharat, now after the new rankings, number 10 ranked bantamweight. Razor close fight. And I'll be honest, I thought Gene Matsumoto won that fight. And then before that, beat Miles Johns. Before that, in my opinion, got robbed against Rob Font. I think he should have beat Rob Font. Not mad at him losing to Rob Font, though. And then before that, he beat Brad Katona, who's Bekzak's best win. And I know Gene Matsumoto beat him by decision, and Amakan knocked him out cold, but I don't think Bekzak's going to knock out Gene Matsumoto. So if anything, him winning by decision proves more to me from Gene Matsumoto than Bekzak. I don't know. Let's see what the odds are here. Yeah, they're pretty close. I don't really see why. Gene Matsumoto is, in my opinion, clearly the better fighter. So give me Gene Matsumoto by I'll say a 29-28 decision. Bekdak does good in the first round, gasses out a little bit, and gets dominated by Gene Matsumoto. All right, we're gonna skip to some interesting fights. I'll say quick picks for these two. I'm sorry. I got Theodore Begrin. I watched some tape on him. He's way better than Daniel Donachenko. Not impressed by him. Con Offley. I actually do think Con Offley will win this one. I think he lost his last fight, but he still did show a pretty good showing for himself. So give me Con Offley in that one. Now, Nursultan Ruziboyev versus Andre Puliev. I'm excited for this one. Nursultan Ruziboyev, I think he's on like a 2-fight win streak right now at middleweight. His only loss in the UFC was at welterweight, and most of his losses on the regional scene at welterweight. And it makes sense why. The kid's 6'5", trying to fight at 170 pounds. That's just not working out. He's a big middleweight. There's no way he thought that he would successfully cut. And his only loss in the UFC, which is at welterweight while he's weight drained, was against Buckley. I know he got out-wrestled by Buckley, and that's not the best look. He also got outstruck by Buckley, got dropped and everything. Getting out-wrestled by Buckley, not a great look. However, I'm not that worried about the wrestling against Andre Puliev and Nursultan Ruziboyev. Again, will be at middleweight for this fight. Andre Puliev looked pretty good in his last fight against Ateba Gautier, but he looked good because Ateba Gautier kind of let him look good because of his style. He still got dropped in every round. I think he lost every round based on damage. He was outpointing Ateba Gautier, but Ateba Gautier shown to be some crazy technical striker. Andre Puliev is hard to put out. I think Nursultan Ruziboyev can just outstrike him, outgrapple him the entire fight, and win a pretty clear decision. Who else is Andre Puliev? He has a KO in the OC, I know, against a can, but he lost to someone else. It was CLD, I think. And again, not that bad of a loss, but I think Nursultan Ruziboyev, in my opinion, at middleweight, is at that level, not of a CLD maybe, but he's at that level of an Ateba Gautier, one of those types of guys. He won't finish Puliev. Puliev's super tough, but I think Ruziboyev just styles on him. Maybe not styles on him, but he definitely wins pretty dominantly, in my opinion. So give me Ruziboyev by a decision. Abdul Rahman Yakayev versus Julius Walker. I'm sorry to say it. I know people are going to get mad at me for saying this. I'm not that impressed by Yakayev. In his last fight against Brinson Ribeiro, Ribeiro was kind of outstriking him and fraud checking him on the feet. People were saying he's going to maul Brinson Ribeiro. He didn't maul Brinson Ribeiro. Brinson Ribeiro was piecing him up on the feet. Once it got to the ground, he got to that submission position. But on the feet, I wasn't that impressed. I think Julius Walker, who isn't a horrible fighter in himself, if it stays on the feet, if he can keep this fight from going to the ground, I think he beats Yakayev. Everyone's still high on him after that fight because all they see is the finish. It's not that impressive, but his wrestling, his grappling is still pretty decent. Brinson Ribeiro, decent grappler in his own right. Able to do that to him on the ground. That's pretty impressive. I think he'll be able to get Julius Walker down. I'd be pretty confident in saying that. And if he does, I think Brinson Ribeiro has better grappling than Julius Walker. And I think Yakayev will be able to sub him. It's going to be Yakayev by a first-round submission. But if it goes past that first round, because Yakayev is also looking a little tired, he fights at such a pace that he will make himself tired. And it's not the type of pace like DDP or Marab where they're pushing a pace that might make them tired, but it'll also make you tired. He just makes himself tired by throwing at the wind, trying to get big KO shots. I think this goes past the first round. Plus money on Julius Walker is looking pretty good, but I got Yakayev by a first-round submission. All right. I got Eric Nolan here. Eric Nolan, I was really impressed with him in his debut against, I forget the guy's name, Hamzat Chimaev's friend. He's and outside the UFC, I've been impressed by him too. Okay. I gotta check what it's. He hasn't had a fight since then, I don't think. Let me check. Yeah, no, he hasn't. Baysengur Susakayev, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, the Baysengur Susakayev fight, I was impressed by him. Up a weight class, hurt his leg with I won't say hurt his leg because it was the leg kicks that hurt his leg, but outside of that, I was pretty impressed with him in that fight. Yeah, the leg kicks had him hobbling and cobbling, stumbling and bumbling, but he was doing good with the hands. Short notice, up a weight class. He's probably built himself into middleweight. Oh, this is welterweight. That's perfect then. Yeah, he's at his natural weight class. Has a full camp too. I think he wins this one pretty easily. Give me Eric Nolan by a second round KO. Now, we got some good fights coming. Abus Magomedov versus Michel Oleksiejczuk. I got Michel Oleksiejczuk by second round KO. And I know that's a classic pick for an Abus Magomedov fight. I think his cardio isn't as bad as it used to be. I still think it's pretty bad, though. I think Michel Oleksiejczuk, he can push a pace for all 3 rounds, and he has sneaky power in his hands to the point where if you're getting tired in front of him, you can't just take him down and out-grapple him, which I don't think Abus will be able to. Pass round 1 at least. I think Mikel can just, and Mikel's not going to shoot his own takedowns on you like let me just go up the card to remember his name. Bruno Ferreira did and get subbed. He will keep it on the feet. Once Abus is tired, can't take him down. I think he's going to KO Abus in that second round when Abus is dead tired. Oleksiejczuk will push a pace on him. He won't be like Michel Pereira, who will just let him get tired, but also be too tired to do anything about it. Michel Oleksiejczuk will push a pace, make Abus work, and I think he knows that's what he'll have to do. I think that's what he's going to do. I have Michel Oleksiejczuk by a second round KO. Sure, Abus could out-grapple him, could possibly finish him. I don't see it happening, though. Give me Oleksiejczuk again by a second round KO. Speaking of Bruno Ferreira, here he is. Bruno Ferreira, I picked you in your last fight against RoboCop. I was really high on you. You kind of embarrassed me there. Your best win is Marvin Vettori. You looked good in that Marvin Vettori fight, but Marvin Vettori was rocking you in that third round. And I was getting scared for you. I will admit it. I was getting scared for you. Oh, Ikram, though. KO'd by a Whitaker jab. That's concerning when you're going against Bruno Ferreira. Fought the Iron Turtle in his last fight. I think it was. Yeah, it was. And kind of was getting broken in that second and third round, but was able to effectively grapple enough to win that fight. Bruno Ferreira, in my opinion, has better grappling than the Iron Turtle, Jung Park. Oh. I was pretty confident in my Ikram Aliskerov pick before right now, but now I'm looking at it. I think I'm switching my pick, actually. I don't trust Ikram's chin enough. Got put out cold, tongue hanging out his mouth, eyes rolling in the back of his head by Khamzat Chimaev on the regional scene. KO'd by a Whitaker jab. We haven't seen him take power shots or really beat anyone super impressive besides Jung Park in his career. Even that fight was back and forth. Stylistically, I think it was just good for him. I don't think this is stylistically good for him. Bruno Ferreira, great grappling. Better than the Iron Turtles, in my opinion. Don't think Ikram's going to be able to take him down consistently, especially when he gets tired in the later rounds, which he's shown that he does. I don't see him finishing Bruno Ferreira because he has power, but it's not like concussive one-punch power. It's more like he puts a bunch of big shots on you and finishes you. Actually, I think I have Bruno Ferreira in this fight. Give me Bruno Ferreira by a second-round KO. I see Ikram getting tired, not being able to take down Bruno Ferreira. Bruno Ferreira lands big shots on Ikram's chin, makes him do the chicken dance, wobbles him around a little bit, and finishes him in that second round. Give me Bruno Ferreira in that fight. Now, on to a great one. On to a big one. Charles Johnson. Also, by the way, Charles Johnson is ranked number 15 in the flyweight division. For some reason right now with these new rankings. He beat Sumerdaji, who's ranked 12. He beat what's his name? The British, the young British prospect, slipping my name right now, who's ranked number 5. He beat the champ Joshua Van, who's ranked number 1. Only lost to a roid freak cheat who got put on suspension for testing positive after that fight. Doesn't count. And by Alex Perez, who's ranked number 14. And missed weight for that fight. Alex Perez missed weight for that fight. Technically not even a flyweight fight. He's ranked number 15. Just interesting to me. But also Mabayev, his last fight was a win against Alex Perez, which is, doesn't help my Charles Johnson case right now. But I think stylistically, this is a good fight for Charles Johnson. I think also Almabayev gets tired the longer the fight goes, Charles Johnson will make you tired, will push a pace. And if you slow down in front of Charles Johnson, especially if you're trying to, I know Asim Ambabayev has good grappling, but it's not some crazy finishing potential. It's not like a guy like Muhammad Mokaev who can threaten a sub on your way up or something. I think Asim Ambabayev, and I know he subbed Alex Perez in his last fight, but he was on his way to losing that fight. He won the first round, sure, but he was gassing, getting tired. Alex Perez shoved his head in a guillotine, and that's what lost him the fight. I don't see Charles Johnson doing that. I see him pushing the pace against Asim Ambabayev. I see him getting a third-round TKO where he just kind of breaks Asim Ambabayev with cardio. Manel Kape was able to finish Asim Ambabayev. I know it was with a 1-2 eye poke combo, but Ambabayev was also getting tired before that, kind of breaking and wilting a little bit. He did decent in that third round, but again, he got too tired and kind of was willing to let himself get finished in that Manel Kape fight. In the Alex Perez fight, he was breaking. And I think Charles Johnson's style is based on breaking people with cardio. And I think Charles Johnson gets a third-round TKO. If not, I could see this being a situation where it's like, oh, Charles Johnson dominated that third round, but was too little too late. I could see that happening, but I don't think that happens. Give me Charles Johnson by a third-round TKO. Now, moving up the card, we have Nazim Sadikov versus Mateus Camilo. Nazim Sadikov, after his last loss, I wasn't that mad at his loss at the time because it was against Fiziev. However, Fiziev, I'm not going to all of a sudden bandwagon away from Fiziev. I was super high on him just because he lost his last fight, but he wasn't as good as I thought he was. And the way he made Nazim Sadikov look, he hasn't really done that to any opponent except like Matt Frivola. And even then, he did better against Nazim Sadikov than he did against Matt Frivola. Nazim Sadikov in his fight before that was a good fight. It was a war, but that's because it was back and forth. Because he didn't do that great, really, when you look at it. He got the finish, but it was against a can a little bit. Against, I forget the guy's name, a Brazilian guy. But I'm not going to bandwagon off of Nazim Sadikov. I think he's pretty good. I think he's pretty entertaining. And I think he can dog it out if need be, especially if he doesn't have a huge reach disadvantage like he did in his last fight. Mateus Camilo, not that impressed by him really throughout his career. I think I have to pick Nazim Sadikov in this fight. I just see him out-dogging Mateus Camilo. I see him getting a finish, maybe in that third round. But I think I'm going to take a 29-28 decision for Nazim Sadikov where he wins those later 2 rounds. Now, Shar Magomedov versus Michel Pereira. I don't know why this is up for debate. Shar Magomedov lost to MVP. It's MVP. He did what he does to everyone in that fight. And I think Shara, in the striking, especially in a higher output fight where he's throwing more, not going tit for tat, I think he did pretty good against MVP when you look at other guys, especially considering he couldn't get an effective takedown on MVP purely on the feet. All his other fights, he does pretty, he has moments where he gets rocked and wobbled. But it's not like anything where I think he's going to get finished. It's just like a big shot that might hurt his nose, might put him on jelly legs for a second, but he recovers great. And his striking is just levels better than Michel Pereira's, in my opinion. Pereira is a power merchant with no cardio. If you can avoid, and Shar, by the way, has great defense. So if he can avoid those shots for like half a round, and a guy like Shar with great cardio, high output, I think he just breaks Michel. I feel like that's the story of a lot of fights in this card. Just people breaking people. I see Shar breaking Michel Pereira. Yeah, just give me Shar Magomedov. I'm not going to put too much thought into this one. I feel like it's pretty clear. Give me Shar Magomedov by a third-round TKO. I think Michel Pereira will just break. Like, if you're getting out-cardioed by Abus Magomedov, I'm not trusting you to win a fight ever again unless I'm fully confident in you winning in the first round. So give me Shar Magomedov by a third-round TKO. Now, it's beautiful, isn't it? We are about, by the way, Rafael Fiziev genuinely has the best nipple placement in the UFC. I just have to say that. Like, look at that. Genuinely perfectly played. I'm not going to focus on that. Rafael Fiziev, Manuel Torres. I got Rafael Fiziev by a decision. Over 5 rounds is scary for this. I'll be honest. Fiziev's cardio isn't the best. That does worry me. But I'm not going to be too confident in Manuel Torres' cardio either. A big power puncher, those big looping hooks. I think the first round could be dangerous for Fiziev. However, the way Manuel Torres fights, it just feels like it's a setup for a Rafael Fiziev highlight reel. Slipping out the way of shots, fully bending backwards, slip, dip, and rip, that type of style. Now, I could see him no, I take it back. I'm going to take Rafael Fiziev by a KO in the second round. That's what I think I have to pick. Because I'm not going to say Manuel Torres is going to have some, crazy cardio and be able to dog it out later. I don't think his cardio is that good. Fiziev's cardio isn't that good either. But I think it's on par with Torres's. I think Fiziev has better technique. And once they get tired, all that's left is technique. I think Fiziev will be able to. I see him getting a nice, kind of like the Moicano TKO. I see him getting a nice 3-piece hook combo on Torres' chin while Torres is trying to lunge in with a big loop-in shot. And I see him putting Manuel Torres down, ground and pound into a finish, a TKO. Because if I look at Fiziev's last fights, right? Manuel Torres in his last fight beat Grant Dawson. He did what he should have done. Grant Dawson has no chin. Rafael Fiziev, who do you lose to? He lost to Rufi. Rufi is not a bad fighter. He's a great fighter, especially in the way they were fighting. And Fiziev won that first round, was doing decent until he got finished. Then he lost to Justin Gaethje. I guess he lost to Gamrot. I don't count that. That was an injury. But his other two losses are to Gaethje in razor-close fights that I honestly think he could have won. He had a split decision with Gaethje in that first fight, which I think he could have won a majority decision. Sorry. Makes no sense it was a majority decision either. And in that second fight, came in short notice, no camp. And again, I think he could have won that fight. He got knocked down. Outside of the knockdown, he was doing really good. I think he could have won that fight. I'm not saying he did, but he could have. And we saw how Gaethje just did against Ilya. Gaethje's not washed. And he dominated Paddy Pimblett. I think Manuel Torres is like a Paddy Pimblett level fighter. Not even, because he doesn't have the grappling. But on the feet, a Paddy Pimblett level fighter with better power. I just don't see a guy like Manuel Torres beating Rafael Fiziev. Rafael Fiziev also beat the guy who beat Manuel Torres in his last win. What's his name? I forget. What's his name? How am I forgetting? I look like a casual right now. I'm not. Ignacio Bahamondes. He beat Ignacio Bahamondes in his last fight. Bahamondes holded Manuel Torres in the first round. And MMA math doesn't always work. But if I just look at the level of opposition Fiziev has been against in his last fights, his performances, how he's done, just the eye test, I just can't pick Manuel Torres. Besides a fluke, and I'm not picking a fluke. I just can't pick a fluke. I'm picking Rafael Fiziev by a second round TKO. And that's my picks for the entire card. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll talk to you guys later. Remember to like and subscribe. And I'll be back after this, after going 100% on this card. All right. Peace out.